All of you. I guess it has been a lovely sunny day today, very nice vibrant colors outside and an autumn at its peak. I must admit autumn is one of the best seasons in this part of the world for me. I guess many of you guys must also been on an autumn break. Schools were having holidays, and I guess that is coming to an end, and the weekend is coming to an end. But never mind, there are a few hours left for this Sunday, and I promise that today, in next 45 minutes, it would be quite fun-filled and inspiring for you. So I hope you're ready with your cup of coffee or a tea. We have ours here. Thanks to Ramya for making that, who's shooting from the other side. So get geared to hear some wonderful story from our special guest and get inspired. Let me start with myself first. So about me, I'm Vaishali Doshi and I work as a sales director at Accenture. I've been living in Finland for over 10 years with my husband and 2 daughters in Espoo. Working and volunteering for the Indian community has been my passion, and that's why I joined this group IWF for Indian Women in Finland as one of the board members, and I represent them today. When I say IWF, let me take a pause and say what is it about. Many of you on the audience and Priyanka, you probably know who are our members who visited our page. But there are a lot of people who don't know. So, Indian Women in Finland is a peer support group and a local community to support the Indian women living in Finland. Basically, we are a 500, 600 plus members, and we provide a platform for information sharing, experience sharing, practical guidance, as well as women empowerment and social benefit. I know these topics are very close to your heart here. And for many years, we have been doing a lot of events, but now because of Corona, we couldn't do many events this year. So we thought it's time to change our gears and start doing something online. Last week, we launched our mentorship program with 45 people who signed up for our mentorship. And then this week, we're starting this talk series or a talk show called Rendezvous with IWF. And what is it about? So Rendezvous with IWF is like a dialogue or a heart-to-heart conversation with some special guests, women who are like done extraordinarily well or exemplary skills in different domains. We start with our Indian diaspora, but we also hope later on we get a bit international, so fingers crossed, let's see how it goes. And this is the first of its kind, so we are doing it for the first time. Today is the first show, but this is a recurring event, so it will happen every alternate Sundays and 5 p.m. So stay tuned to everyone. We will be going live on all our social media platforms, so Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and our YouTube channel. And I guess we are doing this for the first time, so please like it, share it, and support us in our journey so far. Today, our talk will be for around 40-45 minutes, Priyanka. After that, the library guys will kick us out. So that is the idea. And guys, stay tuned till the end because there's some surprise rapid fire round. I promise it won't be cheesy like coffee with Karan or something, but we need to have some fun too while doing this. So yeah, guys, stay tuned and let's get started. Little bit giving a background here, Priyanka, for you. So when we were thinking, when we were thinking to start this program and how to execute it, we were wondering who should be our first guest. We were looking for someone who is extraordinary, who doesn't fit in the box, who likes to do something which is not being told to do. So somebody who likes to challenge the status quo. And while thinking of that, few names had come to our mind. As IWF, we believe in women empowerment, social justice, equality, and we just thought that you are someone who justifies our motto clearly, and you are someone who lives by this anthem every day of their life. So I'm glad to welcome.
Put it down a little bit. Your hair is a little bit touching, so.
Okay, sorry.
No
Some
problem.
technical thing. So I'm glad to welcome Priyanka Banerjee as our guest for today. Welcome, Priyanka.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction and for having me here. It's such a lovely feeling to be as a part of IWF and to be here and have a nice discussion here with you. And firstly, you look so wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's really, really great to be here, and also the mentorship program. I've been
Yes.
really quite
Thanks for
proud of
signing up for that too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, how it goes forward, and to this series. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to follow all of the other series and shows as well. But let's begin with this one first.
Sure. So let me little bit give some introduction for Priyanka here. I just said Priyanka, but let me tell what she does for a living. So Priyanka is an inclusion and diversity coach. Many of you must be hearing it for the first time, but that's what she does for a living. She has her own company, Business Wiz. And Priyanka had come to Finland as an IT consultant, but she then went on to start her company, and her company focuses on including this inclusion and diversity in the work culture, so that everybody feels safe and included and can unleash their potential. Priyanka also works on women empowerment. She's a board member of International Working Women in Finland, and she's also a board member of European Digital Society. So proud of you, Priyanka, here. And before we start our question and answer, I want to set the stage for you, if that's okay. So I thought that today let's focus on, because that's your domain, inclusion, diversity. So I thought let's focus on the thing called breaking the glass ceiling. I know it's a metaphor used so many times, used by the other Priyanka also, Priyanka Chopra. And I guess sometimes it's overused and it becomes a cliche, but I believe it exists. It did exist in the past, it does exist today, and I believe that there is this invisible hindrance that prevent people from minority or people from
So I think there was a possibility that I would someday come to Finland, but then one day suddenly it happened that, hey, we need someone, and are you ready to go? And I was like, okay, why not? So that's how I ended up here.
Did you know about Finland before coming here?
I actually knew a little bit about, because we were working with the clients.
Okay.
But I did not have a lot of time to think too much about where am I going to live or what places. One of my friends, she was working in the same company, Priya, and I just said that, hey, I'm just coming and I'm going to stay with you because I don't know anything about anything. Right. So I think that was really good that there was someone who already has been here, living here, to help me navigate. So I think that's a really good thing for anyone who is coming to Finland in the future, to know people. And
know people from here. Okay. But then from IT you suddenly switched on to doing something so drastically different. So were there some, like, can you give some common or subtle examples of maybe biases or mistreatment that you might have faced, maybe at your workplace or at your client site or somewhere? So tell me about some experience of the, like, discrimination if you face because of your gender or your ethnicity or your seniority, for that matter. I believe you look quite young, so
thank you for that. So I think discrimination in this time of our world, it happens a little bit subtle way.
Yeah.
You know, so we of course have macroaggressions and microaggressions. So macroaggressions are the ones which are in the system; they are built in the system,
Right.
like pay gap, for example. But the microaggressions are the ones which are like these small events or small things that happen. So, for example, you are you enter into the room and you're like, oh, you're such a young girl, and suddenly the whole feeling changed towards you because people might assume that you are a young girl. You might not know that good about technology like other senior people might know. Or, for example, let's say that based on your gender, there is a lot of microaggressions that might happen that you would feel that this is normal. You know, we sometimes feel that this is normal.
We normalize
We
it.
normalize it because if you see, there are so less women in leadership positions. And a lot of times, like a maximum number of times, we have seen that senior male managers, they often have personal assistants. But when it comes to senior female managers, they are often they're expected to do their tasks on their own. And when you normalize such acts, you're also putting a barrier on the one who are coming after you.
Right.
So there are these small little things that happen. People might go and email to your senior personnel thinking that he might be able to answer better. Or even like if you have faced, some of you can also comment on the Facebook Live which is happening, that if you are one of the only women in the team, how many times you're asked to take notes or the minutes of meeting, because it's just expected that you're going to do these kind of, you know, housekeeping things around in the workplace. So there are a lot of these kind of aggressions that happen, not just based on gender, but of course based on your race and your sexual orientation, and a lot of different things. So I think that was one of my inspiration to think about that. No, this is not normal. I have seen women who have not been given promotion because the people found out that she's going to get married. And if she's going to get married, she won't have enough time, or then she's going to move. Or if she's pregnant, that okay, she's going to go on a maternity leave, and we're going to have a barrier that she might not give enough time. So there is a lot of these kind of things that then doesn't enable a person to give the best of they could of what they had the potential to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you face something particular, or while you were working here, or would you like to share something?
Yeah, I think like similar these examples that I gave, like not being taken seriously because you're a young woman in tech. That is a very, very common, and also because we had very less women in Finland in the industry, or in the, you can say, the technology I was working in. It becomes very easy for people to, okay, let's ask him before asking you. So there has been a lot of things that has happened, or then people generally live in groups, and it's very easy that when you are so less in number, you're easily excluded from the groups, that people go on lunch breaks without you, don't even realize. And these are like, wonderful people. They're not bad people, but it's just about that they don't realize it. And because we have normalized it so much, we don't mention it, we don't call it out, it becomes a pattern that has been going on.
Business as usual.
And still goes on, yes. That's true. And I would love to know your comments, because you are one of the senior leaders in a tech company. So have you ever felt any such kind of microaggressions in your workplace?
Yes, we do. We do face, for example, there are particular roles which are assumed that women take, even in managerial side, and then there are like women don't code. Very, very common taboo in the tech world. Well, I have a room full of women who do coding, but that's the feeling. So yes, we also face that, and we also have the other side of the coin, where the organization wants to promote more women, to bring the equality. But then that is looked upon as a meritocracy.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I'm a deserving person and if I get promoted, do I get the value that I got promoted because I deserved it, or will people just tick mark it that, oh, because she was a woman?
Yeah.
So I guess it's also a double-edged sword, and we get that
We
many
actually
times.
have, with our company also, we work with like setting such KPIs that
Yeah.
does not, because I was mentioning you, I think the other day, this called as the golden skirt syndrome or something, where you are promoting someone just because there is a quota, and then you
Yeah.
are taking down their meritocracy. So for those things, the companies, they also need to understand how to put such KPIs. So you cannot, you have to look at the whole, you know, the pipeline, how women are proceeding in the company, and not just promoting them because there is a quota that we need 50% women in the leadership position.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like I said, it works both ways, and I think still in Western world it is still okay, but let's say back in India, people don't take it with easily, and they kind of feel that everybody is there because she's a woman, and not because she's capable.
I think even here it is not that, it still exists. So even, well, we'll go forward into how I also did my MBA from here, as you know, and I was doing my master's thesis on artificial intelligence in retail buying sector, and there were I did not really found any AI expert who was a female, which I was assuming would be the case. But it was really interesting whenever I went to talk to an expert, and they would assume that I'm from a fashion retail industry background rather than a tech background. So they would be like, okay, so you are a retail or fashion expert. I'm like, no, that's not my background. I was working with another lady who was also a retail expert. So those are these kind of like assumptions that people make based on stereotypes.
Yes. Yeah, I remember from one occasion I was on a panel discussion at Slush and with Madam Ambassador, Mrs. Vani Rao, ex-ambassador. She mentioned that she was in one of the conferences where she was that time serving as a first officer still. So not ambassador but first officer. And there was a room full of men waiting. And she had already arrived, and then they were saying, oh no, we are waiting for the first officer to come, for your husband to come. So they just assumed that it would be her husband and not her. So I think that is also something that fits in the stereotypes as we speak of.
And you know, like there is one more thing, because when I started talking about this topic, there was this one episode that happened that I shared these kind of microaggressions that happen, and one of my ex-colleagues, he used to work with me, and he just totally came forward in writing
I think, inclusion and diversity coach. I think you do that for a living.
Yeah.
So tell us how to handle that, and maybe also why did you start this? What came to your mind? Like, what was your eureka moment?
Yeah, it's actually a long story because if I look back 5 years from now, I would never have thought I would become an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
Especially in Finland, that I would take this kind of a step and jump into this. But all these kind of experiences that happens, and I went forward with my MBA. I always wanted to do an MBA, and to be really honest, before I opened myself to opportunities, I was exactly in the same box that, okay, you study, you do your engineering, you work few years in IT.
The Indian parents' dream.
Then you do the MBA and then you move on to doing something else. So I had the same exact idea that I want to do MBA, and when I was in India, I was also like planning to do CAT exam, like to do
the entrance,
entrance exam. And when I came here, then also it happened that I thought that, okay, maybe I should do this MBA here when I'm here now. And I wasn't thinking too much about what will I do. But when I entered to Finland, when I started having these experiences that now, when I see how people navigate, and I was like, okay, I really want to grow, and I don't see that how I would be able to grow in this place. Because if I wanted to do something different or something more, then I have to actually look at what exists outside my small box.
Your comfort zone.
Yeah, in my comfort zone, which exactly, it was actually a very scary decision. I was like, literally, when I put down the email, I started crying. Oh my God, what have I done? It's gonna stop.
It's a suicidal thing.
Yeah, I don't know what am I gonna do, but then later it turned out really good, and I started doing a lot of experiment working with different startups, and I myself had 2-3 ideas that I started with some ideation and hackathons where it started, and we failed, like literally. Did not know what to do and how to do, but it did give me a lot of experience on meeting people, how exactly the startup world works, and then seeing the same patterns again and again. For example, how less female founders get funded. For example, I don't know if you saw the latest reports on the Nordic investments. 2019 was one of the best years. 3.5 billion euros was invested in the startups, and only 1.3% to female founders.
That's it?
That's
I knew it was in single digit, but I didn't know it was so low.
So it was like all female founders, 1.3% and 6% in mixed teams.
Okay.
So it's still so low even for the Nordics. And all the time the topic started coming to the same thing. And it was somewhere back there that there is something that needs to be done in this field. And rather than starting a new tech company,
Exactly.
One more tech company, when there is nobody doing anything about the existing companies, and how to have this feeling of inclusion, give them a culture where people can actually innovate. So that's how it actually happened, slowly, gradually. It took me, I think, 3 years to get the clarity to validate the market, to understand what will work here, what will not work here. So yeah, and going back to your previous question about should we stand out, or that's like a really good question, I think.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they struggle with this, that giving up their uniqueness just to fit in with the other people. I think that every person is different, and that's what we bring to the table.
Yeah.
The uniqueness that we have. But of course, understanding the culture is also as important as being unique and true to yourself.
So what works here and what doesn't work.
Yes.
Keeping that in
Exactly.
mind, but still bringing yourself
to the table. So you have to understand how the market navigates, or how people are, and how you can get the best out of when you're communicating with them,
Mm.
but then still be yourself and
Right.
have your uniqueness. That this is who I am, this is what I bring to the table. So I think that's a very like a balance that we have to maintain.
Good point, yeah, the right balance. Like,
Yeah.
don't forget yourself, but understand the surroundings as well.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, quite interesting. But I think, Priyanka, there is also another thing that has been in discussion. So there's a lot of focus on inclusion and diversity in organizations. But there's another thing coming up which is called as diversity of thought. Basically, undermining that inclusion and diversity,
Yeah.
but just saying that it focus on the diversity of the thought. But I personally believe that that is undermining the privileges that people already have. So what do you feel again around this? Because I mean, with due respect to my friends and colleagues here or everyone, but if you are a person with white person, you are a white person, and in many ways you are privileged.
Yeah.
So how do they understand that yes, I have, or how to have that difficult conversation, let's put it that way.
I think that's a very interesting question about the diversity of thoughts. And I always say to people that thoughts come with experiences. So until and unless you don't have different experiences, the diversity of thought is not that diverse. You know? So for example, a person, let's talk about two people who have been born and brought up in Finland. They have gone to the same school, they have been to the same hobby classes, they have been in the same industry.
Yeah.
Even if they are two different people, their experience has been very similar. So at some point there comes what you call as the same thought, like you cannot think outside that box. And I give this very like this example that let's say that there is a group of two groups who have been tasked to innovate new food items. And like one team is all homogeneous, they have traveled, so they have a little bit of uniqueness of what cuisines they bring in, but then there is a different group which has people from all across the world, from different backgrounds, identities, and they have also traveled and they bring a lot of different things to the table. So when it starts working, like when they start preparing the meals, maybe the first time the homogeneous group will be better because they have the same level.
Yeah.
They have a same
starting
base.
point.
Yes,
Yeah.
the starting point is same, so the threshold is very minimum and they can innovate much better. This team probably might take a little bit of time to understand, come to a base point, but you think about after 10 dishes, which team will be able to put on more food or like different innovation?
Yeah.
It's when you have different experiences and people and they have been grown up with different cuisines and experiences. So that is the same with the diversity of thought. You might have different interests, but at some point your experiences and thoughts will be the same.
Okay.
So, and about the privileges, yes, there are privileges, even like I am privileged and we are privileged to be here and speaking in front of this camera. So also understanding privileges and biases in the organization is as important, and it does not, everybody has privilege, so even like a white man and a white man with disability or a white homosexual man with disability will all have different experiences, and they all have different privileges. So I think that is something we also need to understand, especially at the workplaces as well. Yeah.
But so speaking of this, what does your company do? I mean, I understood what was your driving factor to start business with, but what does your company do for a living?
Yeah. So what we do is, when I started working and speaking about this topic, I saw that not many people are doing anything about it. So they know that they want to do something, they want to become inclusive, and when I say inclusive, it's not diverse. So that's just to clarify that just having and putting a lot of different diverse bunch of people into a workplace does not necessarily mean that they are inclusive. So inclusive is having this feeling of belonging, that
Yeah.
they belong here, they have a safe space, they have a possibility
Yeah.
to grow and have fair, equal opportunities. So steps which are not overwhelming, because that is also one thing which comes a lot, that this topic is so overwhelming. Like, what do we do understanding gender and like race and so many things, abilities. So understanding what is more important for your company, and then we do a lot of workshops and trainings to help develop this culture and events and KPIs, that how it works. So it's a whole
Interesting.
thing.
Very interesting. I couldn't ever think of doing something like this. So.
It has evolved.
Yeah,
It has evolved.
yes, yes. You also are an international keynote speaker, Priyanka. So how did you stumble upon that, and what are the topics that you usually speak on? Maybe inclusion, diversity, I assume. Yeah.
I think I started speaking when I was 14-year-old.
Oh, wow.
So it was very early. I was speaking about the right to female education
Wow.
in the
In
areas in India,
Very good.
and also going to different people and talking about, because I am from Rajasthan.
Yeah.
I have been really privileged. I grew up in a city where it was not that bad. But I did see a lot of people around me who were going through the same challenges of not getting proper education or not having equal rights. So I think that's when I started. And I don't know how it's continued here as well. I got an opportunity to speak for the Nordic Business Forum speaker contest, and I was the only non-Finnish person who got selected out of the eight people.
Wow.
So it was really great, and the topic was very new, because people did not really understand what diversity means and why is this topic so important, why are we talking about it, and that's how it started. And before that, I have been in the college when I was studying, so I was going to a lot of these startup things and networking and events, where I just like, whenever I got this stage, okay, I can pitch my idea. Can I just talk? And that's how it started.
We shared the same.
Yeah. You know, that there is a stage, and want to share some idea, and that's how it was very organic. It just started happening, and then people saw that, okay, you were talking about this topic in that event. Can you do this in this event as well? And then slowly, now last year I did, or was it this year, also an international summit, which was around 40 countries, over
Wow.
40 countries, women from 40 countries, entrepreneurs. We were having a
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. So that's how
it started. Yeah, but still, I mean, when you put your name for any of these events or contests, would they have some unconscious bias? They see a foreign name, somebody who doesn't speak Finnish, and maybe that might be also a question, was language a barrier for you working in Finland? Because many of us who want to be entrepreneurs get stuck by that how are we going to navigate in the society?
Yeah.
So do you think that that came up any time?
Oh yes, definitely. I still remember there was this one event which I was almost about to do, and a few days before I got this call, and they said that, we are not sure if our audience is very comfortable with you. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? And it was kind of like it was actually direct discrimination, but you cannot like directly outrightly say it. So when I told them that what you were doing is not right, they suddenly started saying that no, because you're so young and you look
So
so
they
young.
had a bias,
Yeah.
unconscious bias.
So you know,
Young,
you're
a
so
woman
young.
with color and
Yeah, you were so young, and to the extent that maybe you can dress in a way or like speak in a way that you
you
seem
quoted.
more confident
Oh my
and
God.
more. And I'm like, I am confident. It doesn't matter if you look in a certain way, which is a lot of time that you look so cute to be on the stage. Like, what does that even mean?
cute to be on the stage. Okay.
So that there is a lot of bias in the industry, and of course because we don't have representation. That's the problem, that we don't have enough diverse people on the positions or on the stage.
Yes.
And I think it's changing now.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
4 years, I have seen that earlier it was so difficult even to like, what is this topic? But now Finland is grown and they are
Embracing
talking
it.
about it, and they are talking about biases, and they are having the difficult discussions like we are having it over here as
Yeah.
well. So I
Yeah.
see a lot of hope
Great.
for that.
Great.
And about the language, I think that yes and no. So one of my pitch is that if you want to really understand diversity and have a culture of inclusion, you have to get uncomfortable a little bit.
Mhm.
That also means coming out of your comfort zone in terms of language.
Right.
So that is, I now see that I focus on the strengths rather than having that barrier that I don't know Finnish or I cannot speak Finnish.
Okay.
So people who cannot understand and talk to me in Finnish, they are not my target audience in the way that they will not be able to understand what I am saying. But I don't see, most of the companies which I have worked with or reached out, even if they don't speak English as their main language, but they want to grow because
Yes.
they understand that we want to go outside to do international trade, or we want to have international people in our workplace. So of course they are like more open to embrace the language. I would say that it is a barrier, but it just is a barrier if you think it's a barrier.
It's in your mind,
Yeah, it's in
maybe.
your mind. Yeah.
Okay. I guess we are coming close to the
Yes.
time. We're a bit far, but still. So maybe one question, Priyanka. Whose dream are you following or living? Where do you see yourself 3 years from now? And what is that piece of advice you'd like to give to our lovely audience?
That's quite a lot of questions.
Yeah, but still all
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah, it's all connected. Well, my vision, the vision that I'm working to, is to create this inclusive societies, and we are doing it through developing inclusive workplaces, because workplaces are one of the the foundations of our society.
Yeah.
So bringing that inclusion and having a society where we have equitable opportunities for people from all different backgrounds, identities, no matter what. So that is a dream that's the utopia
In your mind.
in my mind that I'm seeing. And with I think 3 to 5 years from now, I do have a vision to at least in Finland and around Finland, in the Nordics, the companies to have this understanding that why diversity is beneficial for you and
Right.
how you can develop inclusive workplace culture, because at the moment, even if the companies want or know that it is beneficial, they don't understand how to make that difference.
Yeah.
So that is where my role is, to help the organizations understand how to achieve what they want to achieve.
And your piece of advice.
Yeah, my piece of advice, I don't know if I'm like credible enough to give any advices to you, but I think for me it would be that experiment, because when I came here I started experimenting, and it opened me with so many opportunities.
Very
It
well
opened
said.
me with so much that I did not even know that I was capable of. I never thought that I would be an entrepreneur. I never thought that I would do something like this, or train martial arts for that matter.
Are you?
Yeah, I trained
Wow.
Kung Fu. It has been like over 2.5 years or 3 years around that.
Okay.
And, so just experiment whatever you want to do. You don't have to give up your job to do it. You can always do a side hustle. You can always learn a thing you wanted to learn, or do experiment with hobbies if you don't know what you like. So I would say experimentation would be my advice to.
Okay, wonderful. On that note, I think it's time for us to start to the rapid fire
Oh my
round.
god, I'm so bad with such stuff.
No, but
Okay.
I liked your
Let's
closing
begin.
note that don't have the fear of the unknown. Get out of your comfort zone and experiment. I guess that's the key and the crux of the whole
I think
thing.
also like experimentation itself helps to come out of the fear because you still know that I am still experimenting. So it can fail or it can succeed. And when you already have this thing in your mind, it's much easier to make a decision.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. Okay, I have some questions. The answer should be like one word only, or maybe in some cases 2 words are needed, or 2 or 3, but 1 word answers. So I start now.
Okay.
What is your strength?
Networking.
You don't have so much time of Okay, your weakness,
Too talkative.
your addiction, I'll skip this question. If you have access to the time machine, when and where would you go?
To Antarctica because I don't like cold and
And you will go to
I would like
Antarctica.
to challenge myself that if they can just put me there, I will then have to experience it.
Okay. Okay, you don't like cold, but you like to go to Antarctica.
Antarctica and in the past, so there is more ice.
Okay, okay. What advice did you get which was most rewarding for you?
Just do it.
Just do it. I think that's it.
Yeah.
My questions are done. I've tried to promise to be a good one
I am
today.
sorry if I was really bad at that.
No, it was quite good. I think you did justice to it more or less. I have a thing. Guys, do we have any questions online?
How would you help and encourage Indian women living in Finland towards equality and equity?
Yeah, I think the one thing I say is to speak up. And because as I was also talking to you, that we have normalized a lot of things that because we are women, it is like this, we have to go through this, or we have to. I would say that speaking up and having, telling people that this is not normal and this is not.
But I guess she's asking equality and equity. I guess there's a
there is a little bit difference. Well, actually a lot difference.
lot of difference, yeah.
But if I understood the question correctly, that how I am helping them. So I'm also a board member of the International Working Women of Finland, and we actually have this a lot of support for any women who have an international mindset, and we are also helping Indian women through that channels to not just with the companies but also with bureaucracy, that how they need to have people when they are making decisions for immigrants, for let's say. So we have done some work with ministry and
Okay.
We have one more
We
question.
have one more question.
Yeah, it's from Zama. She wants to know.
I mean, you need to speak
Hi,
loudly.
Zama.
You need to
Yeah.
read the question.
She wants to know
Can I read it?
what Priyanka thinks about the future and the present activities of about IWF too, with her experience with the uber successful community Indian women in this IWF. What advice would Priyanka have for IWF to pave the way forward towards a great community?
Wow. A lot of questions. I think the first question maybe Vaishali would be better person to answer, that how is the IWF going forward?
Well, I think IWF, like I said in the beginning, we had started being more like a social and cultural community, helping Indian women to find their ways around, to adapt to the Finnish way of living, for better integration in the society. I think now we got a lot of time in 2020 to think. We used to have like one event every month or every other month, But now because we got a long break to think, we are trying to add this whole business angle and changing gears. So that's what I said, we are launching this talk show, we are launching the mentorship. So we try to work in all aspects and alternates to work towards helping the Indian community in whichever way we can.
And I think I would say that first of all, networking and supporting each other, that's really important. So if you are on I would say that if you're in a position to make a change, so bringing forward the community and helping them to be where they want to be, that would be my position to take, helping the community. Maybe if it doesn't answer your question, you can also send me later.
There's one from Vismit.
Okay. There's one. Should we share our microaggression we face, or should we be quiet about it?
I personally like to speak about it, and that's why I also opened up it here to the organizations. I think that not just going with a violent, like, you know, that, hey, you did this to me, because most likely they don't know that they are doing it.
Kirjasto suljetaan 15
So
minuutin.
yeah, we have an announcement here, but I would say that if possible, go ahead and speak up in a way that they understand. So make them understand that, hey, there is something that I feel in this way, and please don't like take it in a positive way, because we want to help empower each other. I would say that.
Okay, I guess we are up with the time.
Yeah.
The library already did the announcement that we should be
You heard it.
we should be vacating the room, and we are on top of our 45 minutes.
Yeah. That's
So
right.
thank you so much, Priyanka, for wonderful conversation today. I'm sure all of you must have felt inspired, would have loved Priyanka's journey and her story that you've told us.
Thank you so
And
much. Thank you so much for
please
having
reach
me.
out to her or me if you have
Yeah.
anything or any more questions.
Definitely, if there are many other questions, please you can follow me on LinkedIn and send me.
Yeah. And please like, please share and support IWF in this journey.
Exactly.
Stay
They're doing
tuned.
great.
Yes, and stay tuned 1 week after, so alternate Sundays 5 p.m. and we'll have more interesting guests for you. Thank you.
Perfect.
Bye.